Ooh, welcome back. This is the Only in Miami show, and I'm your host, Grant Stern. You can find me on Twitter at Grant Stern and everything about the show at www.onlyinmiamiradio.com. News, politics, culture, and more. Check it out at onlyinmiamiradio.com. And we are back live with the two mayors and former mayor. So I'd like to introduce everybody for this segment, and we're going to talk with Peggy Bell, who has been patiently waiting to come onto the air. So we've got former Mayor Cindy Lerner. Cindy was the mayor of Pinecrest and a state representative in Florida State House. We also have Eugene Flinn, who is the current mayor of Palmetto Bay, and Peggy Bell is the current mayor of Cutler Bay. Peggy, thank you so much for joining me on the program tonight.
Thank you, Grant. It's really great to be here.
So, Peggy, tell our audience a little bit about Cutler Bay and why you're here tonight to discuss Miami's big problem with transit.
Well, as mayor of a city, a town of 45,000 plus residents, I feel that we have worked on this for well over 10 years. Clearly, we've worked on it in other ways since 2002, but we've actually been working on this the entire time. I've been a council member for 12 years and the last 4 years as mayor. And it seems to me the county keeps kicking the can down the road and doesn't do what was promised to the residents in 2002 and which our residents continue to pay for with a half-penny sales tax, which I think we're up to $2 billion now at this point. And we haven't had rail car number one, yet they're replacing the old rail cars for areas and the more affluent areas that have already had rail as we know as Metro Rail in all these years. So it's very important that we look at what this is going to be. As Mayor Lerner said, this study is coming out on the 19th. We keep waiting for it. They kept saying it was going to be last year or the year before, then it's going to be this fall, and now it's going to be all of a sudden, surprise, it's soon.
Yes. So, I mean, tell our audience a little bit about the boundaries of Cutler Bay. It goes from 184th.
184th. We're just on the middle of the road, from Palmetto Bay. That's our northern border. The east border would be the Biscayne Bay. The west border is the bus lane, or now it's called the Transitway. And the south border is a little bit gerrymandered, but it's basically 232nd Street and on the south.
So, I mean, I had an employee who was commuting from that area, and he said it took about 2 hours for him to get from there to downtown on the bus lane. Now, the segment from the Metro Rail only takes 18 to 20 minutes.
Right. I mean, it just doesn't seem reasonable for us to even try to get to Metro Rail. And then if you get there, sometimes their park and rides are full. I know I've had to, if you don't go at a particular hour, you're going to have to go through the first two park and rides and not find a place to park your car, which is something that we, I think all of the cities would like to help out and try to maybe put some of our CITT money into building. However,
you said the four-letter word.
Yeah, I know.
Just for our listeners who are not aware of this, there's this thing called the Citizens Independent Transportation Trust, which I like to say is three lies in one four-letter word.
Yeah, they're who took our half-penny sales tax in the first place and promised that we would have this. And the only thing that's been built, as you know, Grant, very well, and the rest of us know, the only thing that was been built was the one lane to the airport. And for us, even in South Dade, to get to the airport, we have to actually go down to, we have to go up to North Miami and then through downtown. And, it's still makes it difficult. But the point is, for my residents and Palmetto Bay, and certainly for Homestead, Florida City, for them to drive to Metro Rail, and you kind of say, well, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Why should I bother doing that? I might as well just drive all the way downtown. And so if we really want to get people out of cars, it's ridiculous to say we should put them in an autonomous car. Put somebody in an autonomous car, you're not taking any cars off the road. 836, right. Extending the 836 is ridiculous because any traffic calming consultant would tell you that you can't build yourself more car lanes out of this problem.
Okay, now you said the three
the other word.
Yes.
The other bad word.
Well, it makes
MDX.
Yes, MDX. But also, when I think of the 836, I think of AC/DC. Yeah, the highway to hell.
Yeah.
We're right off the 836.
I can't drive 55. No,
you can see it over my shoulder in the studio here.
Yes.
And
it's bumper to bumper.
It is bumper to bumper?
No, not quite.
Only in Miami, I can't drive. 55 means you can't get that fast.
That's true. That's true. So, I mean, I want to go from Peggy across the panel here. And, I mean, I want to get your opinion. Well, okay, let's say, Peggy, I think you've told us your opinion on the Kendall Expressway. But, Mayor Flinn, are you in favor of the Kendall Expressway or opposed to it, which would be the extension of the 836 through some of the most sensitive environmental areas on the west side of Miami-Dade County and extending it all the way out west to Chrome Avenue and south? It would be add about 60,000 cars per day to the streets in Miami-Dade.
I can't support it. I just can't. I look at it, it goes far out beyond the UDB. When you look out, we all, can any of us remember when this road out here hasn't been under construction? I don't have confidence it'll be done. I don't have confidence that they'll get the land that they need, and they continue to ignore a crisis when we've all worked hard with the Hold the Line efforts back in 2005, 2006.
You're talking about the urban development boundary, the UDB.
That is correct. And I was there, and I was one of the sponsors, along with Miami Lakes and other cities that moved through it, said, hey, we want to preserve our water. We don't want to be out in the Everglades. Let the alligators have their places to live. But we're not following through on the infrastructure. If you really want to have it eastward ho, if you're really serious about transit-oriented development, show it through investment. This is all about investment, and putting that out in the Everglades is you're chasing your tail out there, or the alligator's tail, whichever the case may be. But we've really got to get focused on where we've got all the land, where the right-of-way is there, the money's there, the critical need is there, and it's like we're continuing to just get distracted with all other areas when we know it's this north-south corridor, whether it's up north, North Dade coming to downtown, or it's going along the south and finishing the promise. Can we finish some of the promises that were committed before we start distracting ourselves with other projects?
That is a fantastic question. What is your opinion, former Mayor Lerner?
Frankly, I was shocked that the county commission voted to approve it. There were only 2 no votes. Daniela Levine Cava and Commissioner Suarez voted no. The rest of the commission voted in favor of investing hundreds of millions of dollars in more roads when they had all agreed 2 years ago that they were committed to the S.M.A.R.T plan.
Well, I mean, isn't it a little bit more shocking that there was a 9-2 vote right after a major election in the heart of downtown Miami and Miami Beach and Little Havana, probably the most diverse electorate that you will see in a single district.
Right.
And that electorate chose a candidate who is strongly opposed to the Kendall Expressway. So doesn't that make it even more surprising? Is there something else that we're missing here? Why did 9 county commissioners ignore the results of a very highly publicized, extremely well-attended special election? I have never seen a special election that has more votes in a runoff than in the general election either. And that happened in this election too. Cindy?
Well, they completely ignored what the people of inner city Miami-Dade County were saying. And those of us outside, there was a lot of input from throughout the community asking for a no vote or to delay it and give the new Commissioner Higgins an opportunity to vote and speak for her constituents, and they ignored it all. So why did they choose to do that is a total mystery, but they have defied logic and their commitments. And that's the most disappointing thing. They made commitments to invest in transit, and instead now they're weakening their bonding power for going forward with additional transit routes in the future, and just looking to build more roads. And the studies have come back time and again and said that building more roads is not going to improve people's getting out of traffic gridlock. it's just going to fill up more roads with gridlock.
Right. Mayor Flinn, I mean, why do you think the county commission so studiously ignored a very high-profile recent vote?
I think that there's a lot of people here that do think cars are king, and to a large extent they are. And I say let's help the king out by taking some congestion off the road through transit. I don't find it inconsistent at all. If you want to sit in traffic, look, my personal mantra is I'd rather sit in a hot, cramped Metro Rail car that's moving me to my ultimate destination than sit in a nice, comfortable car waiting for the next light to open up and allowing me to crawl 12 feet. This is a dare to be great moment, and I'm worried for my children. I'm worried for grandchildren. I'm worried for the livability of this area. I'm committed to transit. I'm committed to this area. This is investment in infrastructure. And I just want to add, Palmetto Bay is not just passively sitting back saying, we want it down here. We have offered up significant money. We have offered up money to bond. We have offered up money to build a station. We have worked with them as far as transit-oriented development. We're not sitting back just saying, gimme, gimme, gimme. We're offering partnerships here, and that's what's very discouraging.
Wow. Mayor Bell, the same question to you.
Well, what I would like to go back to is the $630 million that they're going to use supposedly for this MDX expansion for cars. That actually, it really, I think the residents in West Kendall are getting really hoodwinked, because I'm sure they don't realize that this is not money that anyone has to give them now to build this. This is money that they're anticipating to pull out of their pockets through more tolls. So I would say that if we're going to do a $600 million project for their area, and I don't mean to speak for their area any more than I prefer people from the more affluent areas north of us speaking for us, I do think that, though, I'm sorry,
No problem.
another mayor would add in on that one. But I do think that, if anyone asks me, I would say they would certainly have done better if they had built something like what they're trying to shove down our throats that doesn't fit on our route. But for them, because they don't have a designated right-of-way, would be something like the BRT. So they could have done that and then gotten all the people that don't want to drive off, and they could easily get then to Metro Rail on that kind of transportation, and they wouldn't have to be paying all of these tolls and sitting in traffic, which they're going to do anyway in the future.
Well, you just said another four-letter word. We
Sorry.
allow these on the radio,
I like
though.
to say four-letter words, Grant.
Yeah, well,
I've heard her. I can verify that.
when it comes to driving in Miami, four-letter words are the norm. So that's what, a lot of our listeners are in their cars right now, and I'm sure that there's a few choice ones at the top of their mind when they hear this. But tolls, okay? Toll is the four-letter word. But so you're saying that Tollmageddon, the sharp increase in tolls all over the county-controlled roads by MDX, the Tollmageddon is actually directly related to this plan to put more cars on the road instead of more trains, which, everybody voted for.
Exactly. And going back to the trains that we voted for, now they're really making this decision before as Mayor Lerner alluded to earlier, they're making the decision, we believe, before the studies have come out, which is not the right way to do it. Each municipality paid about $50,000 to fund these studies, and yet I've been told by the county mayor that we will never get rail no matter what the studies say. That was several months ago. We are...
Now, wait a second. Repeat that for the audience. Mayor Gimenez, the mayor of Miami-Dade County, who ran on a platform of bringing the trains that Miami-Dade County residents want, just a year and a half ago, told you...
probably, I don't know, maybe 6 months to a year ago. He said that you're not going to get rail in South Dade no matter what the studies show. And he said, because I know things that you don't know and never will.
Really?
Yes. And it worries me because we're very transparent in Cutler Bay. I've been on the council. I was the first elected official in '06, and I worked for incorporation, and that's my motivation, is to do what's best for the community and the surrounding areas and our sister communities. And I don't understand why we would fund a study if it's already a foregone conclusion. So right now, I don't know if you're aware, I'm sure you're aware of this. They have the consultants, which are, what is it called again? ACOM, going around, and they come to our council meetings and they present how they think BRT is what we should have before the studies have come out. And we say, thank you, we have 2 resolutions. We always, we're not gonna do that. So then they start calling our council members and trying to pick them off one by one and trying to convince them that they need to change, so that they can then say that South Dade really wants BRT, bus for those at home and in their cars, bus rapid transit, and that they don't really want the train. But we're not going to do that. We aren't going to give in no matter what. And we're going to, do everything we can to make sure that our residents get what they've been paying for since 2002 in the half-penny sales tax, which is rail.
Well, you know what? We're going to pick this up after the break, but I'm going to give out the call-in number if there's anybody out there listening who'd like to ask a question or join the conversation. It's 305-541-2350. That's 305-541-2350. If you're watching on Facebook, we're streaming it live on Facebook tonight. So you can call in at 305-541-2350, or if you're on the stream and you're watching, just pitch your questions in there and we'll try to fit them in. And we'll be right back. This is the Only in Miami show. Welcome back. This is the Only in Miami show, and I'm your host, Grant Stern. You can find me on Twitter at Grant Stern and everything about the show at www.onlymiamiradio.com. News, politics, culture, and more. Check it out at onlymiamiradio.com. And we are back live with Eugene Flinn. He's the mayor of Palmetto Bay. Peggy Bell, she's the mayor of Cutler Bay. And former mayor of Pinecrest and former state house legislator, Cindy Lerner. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on the program tonight to discuss transit.
Thank you for having us here, Grant.
So we've actually got a caller on line 1. We're going to take this call because we really want to bring some folks into the conversation. If you have a question, a comment, if you want to join the conversation, give us a call, 305-541-2350. Caller, you're on the air, name and city.
Yes, hi. My name is Roger. I am in unincorporated Dade, the north end of the county, but I'm very close to Miami Gardens. And my comment is just one of the things that, as someone who uses transit very frequently, almost, I do own a car, but I choose to use transit a few times a week to get to work and even to run errands on weekends and so on. One of the things that frustrates me about transit right now, even outside of the S.M.A.R.T plan, which that has us, as you were just discussing before we went on a break, that has its own issues, it's just the lack of responsiveness of MDT. I understand that social media can be a little bit informal, but people have been complaining on social media, tweeting, I know that people have made formal complaints, but the whole Bravo administration, Alice Bravo and MDT, there is no outreach. There is no voice coming from MDT to the community saying, we're working for you, we're trying our best, let's have a meeting, let's talk to the public about what's going on. We just don't hear anything. It's just silence. And I just
That's
don't
a great
understand.
comment.
You know, I just don't understand it. I just want to know what your panel thought about that. There's just no outreach to the community about what's going on in transit right now, and I find that to be very interesting.
Well, thank you for your comment, and I'm going to answer your question. You can hang on the line and listen if you want. So, I mean, my answer is that the politicians are not interested in hearing this stuff from residents. They're not, because a train to most of these folks seems like something that they need to dangle out there to get a vote. But when push comes to shove, they're not getting lobbied by the train companies. They're getting lobbied by the construction companies. And the construction companies, if you live in South Florida, then you know road construction is not something that happens. It is something that is always happening. And that seems to be driving the bus literally here because, again, building a train or a trainway, it's a highly technical exercise. Not every contractor can do it. But there's a lot of road contractors. They've been doing it for years, and they basically see this county's business as their, I guess, some sort of birthright or something, or an entitlement. And then a lot of commissioners are taking their money, and you see the results. So, I mean, which way do we want to start on the panel with answering that question?
Well,
I
just want to agree because, having worked for Eastern Airlines, Pan Am, and traveled all over, which many people travel even more now than I did for a living, I, have seen so many cities, and coming from California originally, where we did have the best highways in the world many years ago, I'd come back here and think, oh my gosh, it's this construction is still going on. And we had some of the worst signage. It was so bad that when I picked up my son from the airport, I couldn't find, how to get to the airport. A place I'd worked at for about 20 years, because not that I'm stupid, I am blonde, but I really could not find it because the signage was so poor and the different construction that seems to be never ending. My husband has said, I think it's some kind of Miami welfare, to just keep people, it's the only way to keep people working. It's just this constant construction that everyone complains about.
Well, I can tell you personally, I agree. I mean, every time I go to Doral now from the 836, I always face that choice of which exit way to take. Yeah. And the signs are a little bit confusing. And about a third of the time, I wind up having to do the turnaround and then turning around again. And, if you're not paying very close attention, after all this wonderful construction, you can wind up driving in circles.
Right. So I would say, in addition, the county transit and transportation services are not at all service oriented. You read on Twitter every day, throughout the day, people complaining about Metro Rail buses that are delayed or filthy, or doors aren't opening, or it's raining inside. There's never any response from the county. There's never any problem solving going on. And in fact, I would say at this point in time, because Mayor Gimenez has clearly shown his preference for undermining the transit future of Miami-Dade County, that he is decimating undermining the ridership by making it unpleasant for people to ride. The promises of getting all new trains have not been explained. Why aren't they there? We were supposed to have more new Metro Rail trains by now, and they are not being open and honest to the ridership, because that's not their intent. Their intent is not to make the system better. The intent is to reduce ridership so that they can justify their unwillingness to go forward with the transit that we were promised and that we desperately, desperately need. And to the caller from North Miami, I would just say that both South Dade and North Dade are being treated as the stepchildren in this county, and both of our corridors are basically being told, you will either take what you get or you get nothing.
That's right.
Well, and we're just not a corridor for the north and south. A lot of people come from the west that travel east and then come up north or northeast through our corridor. So we are a collection point down south for people moving from southwest Dade to get to northeast.
And let me bring up a comment that one of our live stream listeners left. His name is Rick Morgan. And he wrote that the Sunrail in Orlando only transports 3,500 commuters per day, and it was funded. Miami-Dade's trains have 75,000 riders per day. So he asked, why is Orlando able to accomplish funding and building while Miami lags behind? I think we've been discussing that. But something else I'd like to mention when we talk about the North Corridor, because we've been talking a lot about the South Corridor, about the Kendall Expressway. Something that's been left out is that Miami-Dade County's commission just approved the American Dream Mall, but they didn't approve any transit plan to move people to or from there. And it's pretty much a traffic catastrophe waiting to happen unless something happens and we get a transit plan again. Any thoughts on that, guys?
I think we got to come to the point to where you've got to recognize if you don't put the traffic infrastructure in there, it's time for a moratorium. I hate to talk that way, but when people invest, they figure that the transportation is going to follow. It hasn't. And again, I wonder what the actual ridership would be if it wasn't suppressed. I've gotten on the bus lanes as late as 9:45 in the morning, which is far after rush hour. You're talking about 152 and US 1. Most people are supposed to be in the office by 9. This was 9:45 to get to a traffic summit. I was number 7 person standing up in an 80-person bus. So that's 87 people. Do the math. It's there. People want to ride it. Maybe it's because they have no other choice, but transit is there. You've got to provide transit.
Well, like you said, I mean, it's stuffed. It's not like it's something that's being underutilized now and people are saying, let's get more. I mean, that is the issue.
I almost wonder if there's a fear there that if they ran the Metro Rail down to Florida City, that the entire system would become overwhelmed with riders. Because let's face it, by the time you come from Florida City, people don't really want to get north. They want to get northeast. They're on Old Cutler Road to get around the bay, to get up through the Grove and all those points. And for those people in the Grove that think, why should I invest in this? Isn't it worth getting a few cars? And by a few, I mean 4, 5, 10% of the cars off the road, 1 out of 5 off the road to get through. We need to do this, and it's almost like I said, by the time you come up from Florida City and you get to Dadeland South, you're almost there when you look at percentage. The Metro Rail's 6 miles, 6-7 miles from the urban core downtown Miami. That's a park and ride valet service, not a true transit system.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. All of the growth in Miami-Dade's transit has actually come from the circulator routes, which are also funded by the half-cent sales tax, but not controlled by MDT. So do either of your cities have the trolleys right now?
Ours is really very, if I may, Grant, ours is very well used. We have several senior homes within Cutler Bay, and we have a lot of them that are run by HUD and subsidized. And these people do not have cars, and they really rely on county transportation. So several years ago, we started a circulator, and our circulator is a county-sized bus, and we transport 5,000 people a month on our circulator just to get them out throughout the town so they can go to the stores, they can see their doctors, they can do those things. It's very, very popular, very well used.
Sure, and the Miami trolley is extremely popular as well. That's another free trolley. Is the Cutler Bay trolley free?
Pretty much. I mean, we even take our students. Our students can go to the pool. They can go to, we have interns at our town hall that we bring in from the high school during the day. And I think it's 10 cents for them. I think the most it could be is a quarter, so it's negligible. And of course, seniors can get this, the Sun Pass, which they can use, for that as well. I mean, not the Sun Pass. What is it called? The Golden
The golden passport.
I want everyone to know I'm not old enough for that yet. Just kidding. But yes, that passport. So, it in essence really is free. But when we were out in Los Angeles, we looked at their transportation. Mayor Flinn and I were out there with our managers and other staff members, and we were really amazed at how wonderful their transportation system is. They really knew they had to do something serious. They were like the poster child for gridlock. And not that it's solved all of their problems, but it's amazing how it is solved. They've just done it. They've done it smart, like the S.M.A.R.T plan is supposed to do.
I want to just add here that part of the rationale that Mayor Gimenez has been using for denying the opportunity for future transit that we already know we have the projected ridership for is the claim that there are no federal funds. However, then you hear somebody like Representative Diaz-Balart, who has the ability to allocate transportation dollars, and for years now has been asking Miami-Dade County to bring proposals for transit, that there are dollars available. Dollars are still going to plenty of other cities for rail, and yet we're being told a storyline.
Even though we have a rich funding source, a dedicated sales tax-based funding source that will never go away probably, and we're still not getting our local politicians to even submit.
The other thing that they're refusing to look at, which is a strong option, is for public-private partnership. That was on the table several years ago. There are international companies that have come forward and said, we'd love to build transit and be partners, and the county is looking the other way.
So, Mayor Lerner, what's the next step? What's the next milestone that residents need to keep their eyes open, to get involved, and to inform their commissioners and inform their elected officials how to handle transit properly and how to properly implement the S.M.A.R.T plan?
Well, I'd say the first thing is to contact every county commissioner and every mayor who sits on the transportation planning organization, which are the larger cities, and let them know that we demand rail. We demand the 21st century transit that we require, and we will accept nothing less. And they have to wait for the studies to be finalized and look at the data.
There's a public meeting coming up too, right?
July 19th.
July 19th. Right. Okay.
It's crucial.
Yeah, we got 1 minute left. Give out the information on this public meeting. It's sure July 19th at County Hall.
County Hall.
Yeah.
9 a.m. I mean, usually they start at 9 a.m.
That's a little more flexible.
We will put this onto the live stream. We'll let everybody who's watching know. But it's July 19th. There's a major meeting coming. And guys, mayors, please give out your contact information, your Twitter account, or the best way for people to reach out and continue this conversation on the internet after the program.
I will be glad to do that. But again, my biggest fear, I just want to throw this in. This is it for us. This is the deadline.
This is it. But where can they reach out, Mayor Flinn?
At eflinn@palmettobay-fl.gov, or my cell phone, 305-302-3713.
And Mayor Bell.
pbell@cutlerbay-fl.gov. And my personal number, I'll get some good calls, 305-322-5305. We want everyone to have the rallying call. Give us the rail, and hashtag no damn buses.
Hashtag no damn buses. Well, that's all the time we have for tonight's Only in Miami show. I'd love to thank our panel for showing up, for making a great program, and for telling everybody to get involved. There's a major meeting coming up on July 19th. Keep your eyes open, and we'll be back next Monday night. This is the Only in Miami show.